Today, we're going to be talking about our purpose, or your purpose, or my purpose, or anybody's purpose. We're going to be looking at the why and why we do what we do, and why we want to do what we want to do, and what drives us to do what we want to do, etc., etc. So, hopefully, some of you may have already been really clear about what your purpose is. Some of you may not. Some of you may be say some may tweak it. Some may get to the end of this and still not have a clue really what their purpose is, and that's okay. But hopefully, by the end of this session, you'll know a little bit more about where it comes from, what's involved, and yeah, evolve a little maybe. We'll see how we go. So, straight to the really deep stuff. What is purpose? The reason something is done or created or exists is the purpose of something. So it's the why. Why does it exist? And we often ask ourselves these questions like, why did this happen? Or why do I do that? Or why did I do that particular thing? Or why is this that way? Or why do people do that as well? Lots of why questions. And quite often when we're asking why questions, they're related to purpose. So it's asking what the reason is in specific that somebody did something, or the reason that you do something, or etc. So asking yourself that why question, when you recognize that you're doing that, it's like going, okay, I'm looking for motivations or intentions and things like that. So it signifies your intention or a goal, of what someone or something is meant to achieve or accomplish. So, in essence, purpose gives direction and meaning to actions, objects, or even life itself. So, they're really big questions, and it's the reason why we don't often ask kids at school, why did you do that? Because understanding the motivations underneath it is really high level thinking, to be able to be conscious of what it is that drove you to put those bits together to put into action is really a complex and complicated process. So it's no surprise when we ask kids, why did you do that? They go, I don't know, because they literally don't have the maturity and the capacity to understand all the things that are happening in order to be able to come up with a reasonable answer to that question. So a different question might be, what were you particularly thinking at that moment, or what was it that got in the way, or what was it that you were hoping to achieve, or what was the goal in doing that? Something like that. It's being a bit more specific to help them understand, and look inside and reflect. Okay, so I thought that was a good idea, but obviously I didn't think it through properly, etc., or something like that. In personal development, we often look for our why or our purpose that keeps us focused and driven. So when we look at our sense of meaning or our motivation in life, what is it that is that internal sense that drives us and keeps us going? Makes us get up in the morning, makes us do the things that we do, drives us towards our attention. Things like brushing our hair, or brushing our teeth, or putting clothes on in the morning. Like, that whole meaning of life, though quite often subconscious, is actually something we are putting in our brain and we do as a response to things. So even though we talk about goals and, oh yeah, what's my why, what's my purpose, what am I aiming for? It's not necessarily a goal, which is different, because that's an achievement that we're focusing on getting towards. Purpose is what is the fuel that drives us towards that goal. So it's the why would we want to achieve that goal? So we might set a goal to do something, but it's the why of why we would do that goal to begin with anyway. So really looking at what is the reason we persist, or continue to do that particular thing. And sometimes our purpose might be simply to survive. That's all we're doing. Our purpose is, I want to live another day. I want to be part of my body and exist. So it can be as simple as that, is that because fundamentally, really, every single human being wants to live. Otherwise, we wouldn't be alive. If we just decided all of a sudden we were dead and we had no reason to be here, it's very easy to stop our own lives. Unfortunately, that was what happens when people get into those mental illnesses where they go, I really don't want to be here anymore. And their focus becomes very much focused on that meaning of life, which is, I don't want to exist anymore. And that's the negative side of purpose. So most often than not, we don't have that natural tendency to do that. We have an inbuilt, ingrained purpose to belong and to exist. It's part of humanity. I, what's that? Um, the saying, I am. It's the I amness, right? I am who I am, and that means I exist. There's lots of philosophies and theories about that. I tried not to get too deep into the philosophical. Trying to think about Tasha's headache. Yeah, don't want to give too much headaches. So what, like, we just thought I'd just scratch the surface of the what is it and go to one of our psychological philosophers, I guess, or theorists, Viktor Frankl. So personal purpose is a deep-seated conviction that life has meaning, often tied to one's values, passions, and sense of identity. It acts like a compass, which guides our decisions, shapes behavior, sustains motivation, and especially in difficult times. It's the thing that drives us. So, as Victor says, the meaning of life is to give life meaning, in a sense. Now, we might not be conscious to it, but everything we do for a reason. Everything has a motivation. Um, it might be, even if we scratch ourselves, it's to stimulate a nerve. It's every single thing, but we can't pay full attention because we don't have enough capacity in our neurons and brain capacity to be focusing on everything consciously. So we are going to be driven by subconscious system, thank goodness, because we cannot tell. If I was relied on to tell my heart to beat, I'd probably be dead a long time ago. So my subconscious mind takes care of that, keeps telling it beat, 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 beat. Yeah. So thank goodness for that. So Viktor Frankl, who was obviously, I guess everybody here would know him, a Holocaust survivor, psychiatrist, and the author of Man's Search for Meaning. I don't know, has anybody kind of read that book? Have you had a? Have you guys ever read it? No. It's absolutely fascinating because he shares being in the prison, in the Auschwitz, in the prison. What do you call them? Prison buildings anyway, that where he experienced and seen the worst atrocities, and he was basically used as a psychiatrist, and he was one of those people who had to turn on his own people in order to survive, um, by, like, he was told to do certain things, that he was not proud of, and how he psychologically could do that. And he was also shipped off in the trains. And so he had the most depravity and got to the lowest points that basically a human can get. Um, and he came up with this theory called logo theory, which is um sorry, logo theory or logotherapy. So logotherapy, I think. I can't remember the term, but it's got logo in it, and logo is that it's words. And he said we make meaning from words, so the words are the things that create us, that make our meaning. And so quite often we have sensations and feelings and all these things that are happening, but we can't put meaning to it because we can't word it, in a sense. So what drives us is not something we could necessarily verbalize because of the um because it will never fully be able to verbalize what we're going through, in a sense, because all we can do is use the memories of what the words we've created to create the sensations and connections that we have. Anyway, getting too deep into that. But he says that those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. So if you can tap into the essence or the thing or the drivers that are within you, then you can do anything you want within human capacity, because you'll have the fuel that works to ignite the engine. Um, Often the things that get in the way is ourselves. So the fuel, yeah, the fuel's just not put in the tanks because we're not putting it in there. Um, so yeah, so for Frankl, purpose was not luxury but necessity. So he said he didn't Like, because a lot of people, obviously, the Holocaust, 6 million people, 6 million Jews died. They could have revolted and stood up and fought against, these prison camps, but they didn't because they had no will and they didn't, know what was going on. And I mean, there's no judgment from my side. Of course, I probably would have been one of the first people to give up, right? But they were stripped of all humanity. And so they had no reason to live. But somehow, Frankel was able to tap into something. And he says at the beginning it was his wife. He just wanted to see his wife at the other end. But even though subconsciously, I think at the end he knew that there would be probably no chance that he'd see her, he had that reason to keep going, like until he had absolute confirmation that that would happen. And even though subconsciously he kind of knew anyway, he refused to let that happen. And that, in a sense, that driver become the thing that kept him going, and I guess made it like justified some of the atrocities that he did because he had a drive to continue. Um, yeah. So something that always people, something that allows people to endure suffering and discover dignity even in the worst of circumstances. So it's like I'm doing a really horrible thing. How can I justify this enough to not be seeing myself as an evil person who wants to end my life or give up? I have to find some positive in the negative to balance it. Otherwise, it gets excessively too much one way. And yeah, you just wouldn't survive. So, yeah, interesting book. It's a very small book, but a very heavy read. Very, very heavy read. Um, I know Angel's read it too, haven't you? I think we read it together at one point, some of it. But yeah, very heavy read, but very fascinating read. Um, and yeah, and kind of puts perspective on us. If we ever think that we're really struggling, just read a little bit of that, and then you'll see, oh wow, my problems are nothing compared to that. Um, yeah, doesn't necessarily help us with our purpose, but does help us with our perspective. So, psychology suggests benefits, and there was a lot of information. I thought, I'm not just going to put all that information in, but there's actually a lot of research that shows that when we have a strong sense of purpose, we have greater experience of well being and resilience. We live longer, we have a healthier life, we make more consistent and ethical choices because we're aligned, and we report a much higher level of satisfaction and motivation. Because if we can tap into our inner voice and our inner subconscious and our inner driver, and we trust it, and it's our guiding light, then it glows stronger and stronger and brighter and brighter. And we become it like literally, this is kind of my life purpose, is to ignite the lights in other people, because I know what it was like to have nothing but coal inside me and not know why I did anything, because I was always doing things for everybody else. So I was hoping to get the energy and the light from everybody else in order to bring it into myself. But when I realized that I can create my own inner self, and I talked about the blue light, which I was just sharing with the ladies earlier about the cool and my blue light that comes and I kind of relate it to Iron Man. When I had a yellow light that I was glowing and sharing, and I still believe in the yellow light because I think it's the most natural light that you can have. But when I tapped into my blue light, that was my superpower. And now blue lights have a very representative thing inside me. So it's a visceral thing inside me. When I see blue lights, it drives me to, yeah, different things. So there you go. Maybe that's my purpose, is to find the blue light. But yeah, so it's a, it's a, why did I bring that one up? Because it's my driver. I can tap into it and I can go, does this give me a blue light feeling and sensation? And I start to trust my intuitions, trust my judgments, trust my morals, and all my parts feel welcome. All my parts feel together because they're working in synergy. And that's what we're really aiming to do. It's when the little doubt things come in, doubt gremlins come in, that we have the problems. So we need to discover yours. So we're looking at what drives you, what gives you your life meaning, and what guides your actions. So these are the bigger things. And I'll have, in a moment, I have a whole page of questions for you. So don't get too excited. You'll have a whole lot of questions to go through and some time to work on it. But at the essence, thinking about these things. What drives you? What gives your life meaning and what guides your actions? Now, if you sit there and go, oh, well, I have no freaking clue, or this is a really big question. Yes, it is. Yeah, of course it is. They are really big questions, and they are things that we're not necessarily conscious of because our subconscious is doing such an amazing job of doing it for us, right? And like I said, can you, in your brain, control how your heart beats? What do you reckon? Yes or no? But yes, we can. Because if I see a spider on the wall, my heart increases very fast. I just all of a sudden increase my heart speed. So that was my response to a stimulus that was outside that existed before I saw it. So we are controlling all these things inside us. So it's just about tapping into that little part of that essence that is so subconscious for us. And thank goodness, because it keeps us alive. And so it's knowing what it is that drives that part and our intuition and our morals and our little, yeah, compass that's internally going, don't go down that path or don't talk to that stranger or, or, yeah, this is a good idea. I think you should choose that path, that little Jiminy Cricket in a sense, right? So, how do we tap into it? Well, we look at our world, we look at what exists because what exists gives us information. So, looking at our relationships, our friends, our families, our work situations, the strangers that we meet, the people we're compelled to connect with, who we are that we're connected with, what animals we connect with, what gives us, like it's pretty easy to tap into, say, for instance, you got a pet rabbit, for instance. And when you pick up that pet rabbit and you hold it, you feel amazing, right? I know what that's like when you hug a dog or, and whatever those things are. For me, that's what I get, that feeling of, oh, I feel awesome. Oh, well, that's my guiding light. That's my purpose. My purpose is that feeling, right? Because I know when I get that feeling that I'm on the right track. It's a natural response that I get. So what are the connections that create that? And when do I get little glimmers of that? Because that's a really natural and raw one that we can tap into. You know, when we smell a flower, or when we experience these particular things, or it might be a faith or a spiritual belief, how we feel when we have those higher powers connected to us, or we've got something that makes us want to live and something that drives us. Sometimes our morals and our religions can be the kick up the backside that keeps us in line, but if we get deep enough, it's actually the idea that we have guidance and lines that we kind of feel comfortable about, and that can be something that drives us as well. So it's not necessarily always just one thing, it can be many things and a combination of things. So having the discipline and the guidelines to help us go in a direction so that we feel supported can be what a spiritual belief can do, because it gives the structure and foundations. Um, Things like our talents and our passions, tapping into it, art, education. I was thinking about other passions, collecting stamps. Some people get very excited about stamps, you know um like insects and beautiful sunsets and photography and um I don't know, lots of different things. But it's like, okay, so how does those things make me feel? I know how they make me feel. They make me feel this wonderful feeling inside. That's your purpose. That wonderful feeling is the thing that drives you, right? And it's, how do I bring that wonderful feeling into other parts of my life? It might be that you're a caring person, because quite often the people that I attract into my circles are all caring people. Funnily enough, they're all very much heart people, very big hearted people that care a lot. And that's what draws them to me, I think. And they're nurturers and they have a sense of calling, this sense of calling that things have got to be more, they've got to be better. There's something more to be found. And that's not in everyone. I thought everybody had that feeling, but that's not. Some people just don't. Just talk to teenagers at school. They don't have much calling often, but often that's what that is the similarity between people that pump into my road. They're all people who have this sense of calling. They know there's more out there, And that can be your sense of purpose. And others, it could be your service to others as well. It might be how you want to serve, and how when you give, you get, you give and you get. So we often blend that with people pleasing because we haven't become totally conscious of the fact that we're receiving. And so we don't receive because, and so we just give in the hope that it'll just fall onto us and we'll receive it, rather than going, well, I'm doing this because I'm receiving, and it's a reciprocal, like bike pedaling. You know, we're putting one down as we're receiving, and one down as we're receiving, and one down as we're receiving, so that we're making a cycle of reflowing water, kind of like, well, those fish tanks that just keep flowing round, around, around, right? And clean themselves by keeping the water flowing. So here's some questions for you. Big page of questions for you. Might have to take a photo or zoom in or something like that. But these are some really big questions. I thought I'd leave this as a page so you could take a photo or zoom in. But what I want to do is I want to give you an opportunity, and I don't know if I can get some music happening. I might have to unplug my headphones, but I might pop some music on, and give you an opportunity to just spend 5 minutes going through your paper and pen and just writing what comes. Don't, like, as you're reading these questions, if the question doesn't resonate or you don't like a question, write down your response to it. Just go, nah. Or, what makes you feel most alive? I don't know. Just pass over it. Like, and just keep going through it, and until something comes naturally to you. Like, it just pops out and just goes, well, yeah, I suppose I like that. Or, like, as you go through the questions, you might get to the visions and goals, or you might get, and just keep going through and going, oh, yeah. And as you notice your mind drift, when you feel a drift, pay attention to that and go, what is it I drifted to? What is the memory I drifted to? And without judgment, just write it down and go, okay, back to the questions, and just notice, because everyone will have their own unique experience here. So I might just pause, or I will try and see if I can create some music.
Right. This one goes for 5 minutes and 46 seconds. I'm going to stick. I'll see you in 5 minutes and 46 seconds.
Right. So let's continue. For those that are watching the recording, we just had a moment where we went through and did some sharing and talked about our meaningfulness and our goals and our visions and things like that. And we are now going to continue. When I get my pages all set up, we're going to continue with the presentation. It's definitely worth having a conversation with somebody if you get an opportunity. So let's see. For those people who still might be stuck, there's another model which is called Ikigai, that can be used to help you find your meaningfulness and purpose as well. And it is a par model that involves four different areas to explore. There's the something you love, something the world needs, something you paid to do, and something you're good at. Now, because I'm not really great at explaining this model, I have a recording for you that's just a couple of I think it's a couple of minutes, like 2 minutes or something like that. So I'm hoping that this will play, but I think I have to unplug my headphones to do that. So you'll have to let me know if it works or not.
We're going to talk about how to find and do work that you love. Let me introduce you to this concept. It's called Ikigai, and it means thing that you live for. And it's broken down into 4 circles like this. And it talks about what do you love? What does the world need? What do you get paid money for? And what are you good at? So what happens if you love something and the world needs this? This is considered a mission. Now, if you're good at something and you love it, but you don't get paid for it, that would be considered your passion. And if you're good at it and you're paid for it, that's called your profession, a job. And then the last one is the world needs it and you're paid for it, but you may not be good at it. So we're going to call this a vocation. So Ikigai is to say that we must find something here, our reason for being. And this is really important. You must love it. You got to get paid for it. So all these things are in balance. And if we can design our lives around that idea, we'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier than we've ever been.
But you still might not be able to find it. You still might not have the purpose, or you might be going, you know what, I still can't, I'm no clear about what I can find. You know what? It's okay. It's completely normal. Discovering our purpose is rarely instant. It doesn't just happen straight away. And we can make it feel like it's a really big deal. But maybe you're just overthinking it and you want it, you're really kind of in your head and you're going, oh, I have to come up with an answer. It has to be really something cool and good and big and it's got to be meaningful and everyone else has to love it. And that's really overthinking it because it's not something we can just kind of tap into and just go, yeah, that's you've got the best one. And so we can celebrate it. It's actually more about going, this is definitely what guides me. It might not be something that I think I should have, but it guides me and it's a really cool thing to guide me, right? Maybe we're disconnected with those values or feelings or our experience, and because we're not tapping in and going, well, you know what, something that's really valuable to me is this, and so this is going to be one of my guiding lights, right? But because you think you know it's too small or it's insignificant or you shouldn't have a value that like that, but really when we start to trust ourselves and trust our inner guides, we'll start to find more trust in our beliefs. Sometimes we become too focused on the doing. Like, I need to find my purpose. I need to have something like a vision or a mission, or I need to have, and it's the doing part that we stop and we don't notice what's happening inside us. And then there's sometimes that we just have that fear sitting there and we're afraid of making the wrong choice or of not being good enough to live a purposeful life. So there could be obstacles or barriers in there that just go, well, you know what? If I find my purpose, it might be my deathbed or something like that. Or I might find out that my purpose is really weak or pathetic, or, so there's those fear boundaries that can come up as well. And that's okay. Might be one of those. It might be none of those. It might be your own reason. And that's okay. But try these questions instead. What is it that's worth waking up for? Like, what is it that you would get up in bed and go and lay in bed and go, this is a good day to get out of bed, or I want to get out of bed for this, or you know, I just can't wait to see that person's smile or hear their voice um or experience that little tiny joy. Or ask yourself, what do you want to give? Not just get from life, but give. What do you, what would make you feel really good by just giving someone, like if I could give them this, then it wouldn't actually be depleting because they'd feel great. I mean, if you thought about them receiving it humbly or, receiving it with great gratitude and that, what is it that you would like to give? Or if your life could help even one person, just one person it could impact, just one person, what would you want it to be? If you could just make a difference to one person and that one person, what would be the thing that you did for that person? Or what would you be doing for that one person? Or maybe what kind of person do you want to be remembered as? So when they're standing around your funeral bed or something like that, and you're laying or you're up in the sky or whatever you want to believe that you're there, and you can hear the voices and they're saying, man, she was a nice person, or she was kind, or oh man, I loved her quirkiness, or maybe she knew how to throw a really good party, or I don't know, like what is it that you think I'd like to kind of hear someone say about me? Someone, she was a good Christian girl. No, don't say that about me. You know, she stood up for herself. Yeah, I like that. Like which part is it that you'd like somebody to say? Yeah, that's something I'd like feel proud about. Um, and what do you love doing? What have you done in the past that energizes you that you've gone, I'm soaring on the top of the world, or I feel really great because of that. And then just tap into that and go, what about that is it that I love? What specifically? And get curious, not so needing to find the answer result, but more of a, oh, what is it about that I really liked? Was it that I felt safe, or like I know I felt those moments when I felt in a classroom that the students have all gone, oh, I understand. That gives me energy. I'm like, oh, they actually understood. I feel kind of proud of myself in that moment because I made a connection for them and I impacted their world in a positive way. And that to me is great purpose. Impact people in a positive way is a great purpose, right? So that an interaction with me creates a positive energy. I just created a positive neutron. Woohoo. You know, like that's all it could be. Like one little positive move. Like it's that idea of ripples, right? We create a ripple and the ripple passes on and it multiplies. That might help, might not. It doesn't have to be an always purpose. It doesn't have to be something you're going to decide now and then I'm going to hold it to you for the rest of your life. It can just be a temporary one. So for this month, my focus is going to be on smiling to people. That's my purpose. Is just I'm going to smile a little bit, or to Jen was saying before, just to add a little happiness to something, or to just bring a little spark, or just something, right? You might just be, I'm going to be a steady parent for a month only, right? Because I know I can't do past that. Or it might be, I might be a steady friend, or I might be a steady partner, or I might be a steady, daughter, or whatever you are, but just, or I might be a little lighter. I might be a better listener for a moment. It might just be that purpose, right? It might be a creative for a month or a week or even just for a day or 10 minutes. Right now, I'm going to set an intention of being purposefully playful with pen for 10 minutes. Woo, you know, like just setting a small goal and being purposeful in that moment. And then noticing, oh, that felt good. Now I'm going to be more purposeful. I'm going to bring that into action more often. Learning how to trust myself more. I mean, man, if we could all trust ourselves and just go with our inner guides, where would we be in this life? So, if we were able to be that lighthouse, steady, warm, and visible to those in darkness, I mean, that to me, and I don't know if this word resonates with you, but that to me is like the epitome, right? I'm there shining my light to ward off people from the crevices and the cracks that lay behind, to stop the ships becoming wrecked, but also to create the warmth inside of me at the same time and to enjoy the view from where I am. So many different things. Lighthouses are amazing. So I'm going to just read through a meditation and I'm going to invite you to sit as I go through this. Take about 5 or so minutes. And we're just going to kind of explore your purpose. If it comes up, it comes up. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And if not, you can enjoy a little few minutes of just sitting here and giving yourself some time and space. So I want you to begin by settling in and finding a comfortable position. Wiggle your legs, your body, and allow yourself to settle. Maybe roll your shoulders and just allow yourself this moment. And I invite you to let your hands just rest softly and you're gently closing your eyes. Just take a deep breath in and then exhale slowly out your mouth, or just deep and long, and allow yourself to just settle in. Exhale fully and just be in this moment, right here in your body, for this moment of just a few minutes. And there is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do, just this time here, exploring this space for this moment. Give yourself this gift and notice the contact that you have between yourself, your body, the chair, the air in the room, the things that exist around you. Notice any tensions and just release them for the moment. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs, the gentle rhythm. And in your mind, you notice that things begin to wander, and that's okay. As you notice those things, just bring it back to the breath and to your body and to this moment. Now I want you to gently bring your attention inward, right in to your heart space. Imagine there's a quiet, wise place deep inside you, a place where your truth lives. You don't have to force anything. Just listen. Just notice if there is anything. Be curious. You're now going to explore your life, but not with pressure, with curiosity. And allow these questions as they roll off my tongue to just sit and be like leaves passing down a river. If they sit and they stay for a little while, allow them. And if they float right by, just let them. Notice what images, feelings, or memories arise. There's no wrong answers. There's no judgments. It's just being open. And take a look through these leaves of your past, when your life has felt the most alive. When have you felt most alive and more fulfilled? Notice the leaves that trickle down. When have you felt most at peace? And if there's no leaves, that's okay too. Let that moment come to you. Where were you? What were you doing? Who were you with? Or where were you? Or are you alone? What made that particular moment feel meaningful? And what are you naturally drawn to? What problems or causes do you care about deeply? What really bugs you and bothers you? What do you often find yourself wanting to fix? Notice those leaves falling down. They might be a bit more frustrating. You want to pluck them out. But just notice them. They're there. Just let them float by. Curious. I feel like I want to fix this. I feel like I want to support that. I feel like I want to create this. Just let your heart speak. Who have you helped in the past? Or who might you want to help now? Even just in a small way. Even just one person. Even just one thing. Whose life would that be? Notice all those leaves as they trickle past. Notice they're not obligations. They're things that make you feel good. You can just let the rest pass down. They don't need to have you. This is not an expectation or a people-pleasing. It's a choice. And if you did choose, what would you do? What would be your most productive state? What might you do that would light somebody up? And what part of your life's pain or challenge has shaped you the most? Pain can be hard to face, but there's a lot of wisdom in pain. We learn a lot of lessons. And what is that lesson that we learned in that wisdom of pain? What is that something that we might be able to help others with? Or maybe even ourselves? Now, I want you to gently imagine you're looking back on your life, looking at all those leaves that have flowed down the river, and you're going to go ahead up the stream to many years into your future. There's so many more leaves to come, so many years of seasons. But you notice now that you have lived with purpose. Look at all that purpose you've lived. You stayed true to what matters most to you. You've impacted others in a way that it fills your heart, and your heart is full of these leaves. What was it that you gave? What did these represent? What will you be remembered for? Just notice the images, the words, the emotions. Just notice. And allow yourself to be gracious and kind to yourself. Be gentle. And notice, what is it that fills your heart up, creates your rainbows, your sunny dappled days? And now, slowly return to the present, bringing with you this awareness into your body, into your breath, the space around you, and take a deep breath in and exhale gently all of the negative stuff out, and just let it go. And bring with you the gratitude and the future and your purpose. Just a little moment, a sparkle. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Just let yourself sit with whatever arose. Even if it felt unclear, it's okay that it's unclear. Clarity isn't always a flash of light. Sometimes it's a whisper that grows over time. Just a little inkling, a little whisper. There's something there. Just let it be there. Just allow it to unfold in its own natural way. And so, trust that your path will become clear as you walk it. We're on this path together. You're never alone. That's it.